But we begin with some breaking news from the world of Major League Baseball. It will be a sad day for the game as one of the most iconic broadcasting figures in the history of baseball has passed away. Bob Euchre, a longtime broadcaster for the Milwaukee Brewers, I believe close to 50 years as broadcaster with the Milwaukee Brewers, passed away at the age of 90 years old. Of course, Euchre was also featured in feature films such as that one, the movie Major League, also participated in the TV show called Mr. Belvedere for many years and was a player with the St. Louis Cardinals and Brewers as well. One of the most beloved figures in the game. Constant good things said about this man through the years. Very fortunate to have met him as a broadcaster when he visited South Florida with the Brewers when he used to go on the road many years ago. So rest in peace, Bob Euchre, and condolences to the Brewers family as well. All right, now to some other news, and let's get to some college basketball here in this new world of paying our collegiate athletes. We're going to continue that, and that's a good thing. This time it's going to be in the women's college basketball NCAA tournament. It was announced unanimously by the NCAA membership that it's the final step for a pay structure for women who are playing in the March Madness tournament after the Division I Board of Governors voted unanimously to do it. In the first year, $15 million is going to be awarded for the teams out of this new fund. That's 26% of the women's basketball media revenue deal. So that's good news. And then in year two, it will be $25 million and can grow from there. So college athletes continue to be paid. In this case, it will be the women in the NCAA tournament. And we have a statement also from Paige Bueckers, who says that just for women to capitalize on what we brought to the sport and what we do just for sports in general and entertainment, just to be able to be part of that, we're extremely grateful for. Good news for women athletes and collegiate athletes as well, for those kids who are growing up wanting to play college hoops or even in the WNBA. You can get some money in advance of that by playing in the NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, keep an eye on the upcoming Super Bowl. Naturally, with the tragedy that happened in the attack in New Orleans, they're going to boost up security for the Super Bowl coming up in the second week in February. More than 125,000 people are expected to travel to New Orleans just to be around. No specific as to how many people will be on the ground during the week of the Super Bowl, but federal officers will be in line ready to bump up security in New Orleans for the upcoming Super Bowl. Also, a lawsuit has been filed by people who are very upset in the city of Cleveland with this potential stadium move that they want to move out of the county that they're currently in. In October, the Browns announced that they informed the city of Cleveland of their intentions to build a $2.4 billion state-of-the-art stadium and entertainment complex in Brook Park, which is 15 miles south of Cleveland. So naturally, the folks in Cleveland don't want that to happen. They want to keep the Browns at home. Needless to say, the saga continues with the stadium all over the country. All right, Jim Harbaugh with some medical issues. He's going to have cardiac ablation and hip replacement surgery. You may remember that Harbaugh left the Chargers Week 6 game against the Broncos. He had a flare-up with an atrial flutter, and he's going to get that all fixed up in the offseason. Should be completely fine for next year. Also, Deontae Johnson, I was wrong. I said Deontae Johnson's time in the playoffs was over. He's back. Now he's with the Baltimore Ravens. So needless to say, this move does not count for the rest of the postseason. It's a future move. So he'll be officially part of the Ravens in 2025 for their next season, but not for this postseason. The contract officially goes into effect on February the 10th, which is the day after the Super Bowl. If you're paying attention and keeping track, that's what that is. All right, also Aaron Glenn, he's doing the coaching circuits, being interviewed by a number of different teams, and certainly is expected to be seriously considered as a head coach in this cycle. Glenn talked about the possibility of that happening, saying that he's not just a defensive wizard, he also can coach anything you need.
Well, I don't know if that's truly accurate. I can just go off the top of my head with Bill Carr, Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick. That's won a ton of Super Bowls as a defensive coach. And here's the one thing that I would say about myself. I'm a coach. I just happen to be on defense. I understand the offense just as well as a number of people. So if you're going to hire me, you're going to hire a coach. You're not going to hire a defensive coach. I'm going to talk to the offense just as much as I'm going to talk to the defense.
If Bill Belichick is planning on getting back into the NFL coaching circle, his moves don't indicate that at all. He's hired 2 new coaches to his staff. This time it is Mike Priefer and Will Friend. They head to North Carolina. Priefer was a special teams coordinator for the Chiefs, Broncos, Vikings, and Browns. Friend worked last season as Western Kentucky's offensive coordinator. North Carolina quarterback Jacoby Criswell entering the transfer portal. He has 1 year of eligibility remaining. And also Tennessee's defensive end James Pierce Jr. has declared for the NFL draft. He projects as the number 3 outside linebacker prospect for the upcoming draft behind Abdul Carter, who's expected to be not just a first-round pick, but maybe a top-5 pick, and Georgia's Michael Williams. Pierce finished his Tennessee career with 19.5 sacks. All right, on the college hardwood, last night, the battle between Iowa State and Kansas wasn't much of one at all. In fact, Kansas went to Ames and clobbered the Cyclones 74-57 the final as they pick up the easy victory last night. Curtis Jones had 25 points in the game, and right now Kansas is in the driver's seat. Probably going to swap top 25 positions would be my guess next week. TJ Olserberger, the head coach of Iowa State, simply not pleased with the outcome, especially trying to be boring, and it ended up being really boring.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a long time about the everyday habits and the consistency of doing the same thing every single day. We aim to be the most boring team in the country in terms of shaking things up and changing things, and our guys are in the mindset of, they know what's coming at them every day. They know that we're going to be demanding and there's going to be a high standard. And that's not predicated on one individual. It's a collective effort from the team. And I believe our guys are confident in that and they believe in that. And so whether it's, Demarion, what a great job he did stepping up. There's going to be more adversity that comes at us one way or another as we move forward. And if our guys, we're going to demand that they continue to keep their focus on the next day and the next opportunity. And that will allow you to play the level of those habits, when the most challenging moments show up.
Let's get to some more college hoops. Number 6, Tennessee. They overcome a slow start. They end up beating Georgia, ranked in the top 25 this week, probably not next week, 74-56 the final there. Also, Jordan Pope and Texas end up staving off Oklahoma. The Sooners were 2.5-point favorites, so Texas gets a little underdog win there. And also, Rashul Diggins, UMass, they get a 3 overtime win over Fordham. Wow, 120-118 the final there. All right, in the National Basketball Association, Karl Anthony Towns has a bone chip in his thumb. Bad news for the Knicks. He didn't play last night. 125-119, an overtime win over the 76ers. Jason Kidd says a non-call on a goaltend cost them the game last night. We'll see if he gets fined for that comment. The Pels win last night, 119-116, and the LA Clippers break a franchise record in a 59-point rout of the Brooklyn Nets, who have struggled this season, to say the least. How about this final? 126-67, the final score there. So that's the latest in the National Basketball Association as well. But recapping our top story of the day, Bob Euchre passes away at the age of 90 years old. It's one of those iconic figures in the history of baseball, who's been a broadcaster, a pitch man you may remember on television, in beer commercials, and there's certainly one of the most iconic baseball movies of all time, the movie Major League. Bob Euchre passes away at the age of 90.